Minnesota manager Gene Mauch hopes to win with a 5-man infield. Astro fans hope to win with a little voodoo on the big red machine of Sparky Anderson. And George Foster on a rampage with his magic bat. The Texas Rangers turn a smart double play the hard way. All-Star Game flashbacks. 1933. Babe Ruth set the pace with the Classic's first round tripper. And the blasting barrage continues in the 1977 All-Star Game. Stay tuned for headlines and highlights of This Week in Baseball. Starlight, Star Bright. They all came out to shine at Comiskey Park for the first All-Star Game in 1933. Connie Mack managed the American League. His old adversary came out of retirement to manage the Nationals, John McGraw.
We have a sellout, a big crowd, a fine day, and I hope the best team wins. Thank you.
Well, the best team in the first All-Star Game proved to be the American League, led by the Bambino Babe Ruth, who fittingly belted the Classic's first home run, starting a trend which has generally continued in the midsummer clashes. The difference between the stars could be measured by their power. In 1934, the American League boasted a lineup of awesome power, but the Giants' Carl Hubbell performed an unsurpassed feat of pitching magic, striking out in succession Ruth, Gehrig, Fox, Cronin, and Simmons. Nonetheless, the American League went on to win 9-7. In 1938 at Cincinnati, Cardinal star Ducky Medwick led the National League to its second All-Star victory with his hitting and fielding. In 1941, a rising star named Ted Williams slammed a home run in the bottom of the ninth with his team 2 runs down. And not even Ted Williams could contain himself as he cantered around the bases, because his shot gave the American League the most dramatic victory in All-Star history. Yes, it was a moment that the young superstar would never forget. And Ted didn't mind talking about it.
Yes, hitting that home run in the All-Star Game in the 9th inning was certainly a big thrill that I'll never forget the rest of my life.
Williams' All-Star career was dazzling. In 1946, Rip Sewell tried his famed blooper pitch on the Boston Slugger, and Ted ran up on the ball and slammed it out of the park. It was his second homer of the game in a 12-0 American League rout. Williams damaged his elbow making a great catch in the 1950 Classic. And the Cardinals' second baseman, Red Schoendienst, has another memory of that contest.
I never forget the 1950 All-Star Game. I didn't even think I was going to get in the game, and more or less kidding, and it so happened that I hit a home run and we won that particular All-Star Game in the 14th inning. Well, it was a big thrill, and I know anyone here tonight or any All-Star game, no matter if it's the first inning, 14th inning, or what have you, if they hit one, just a base hit or steal a base, it's always a thrill, no matter how many times you do it, no matter how many All-Star games you're in.
1953, fans thrilled at the All-Star appearance of ageless Satchel Paige. But Cardinal Country Slaughter spoiled Satch's effort with a hit that scored Roy Campanella for a National League victory. 1954, power again decided the game in Cleveland. Indian third baseman Al Rosen belted 2 homers in his home park to carry the American League to a wild 9-7 victory. The National League answered back the next year, rallying from a 5-0 deficit to tie, and then set the stage for the 12th inning heroics of Stan Musial. A line drive deep to right, going, it's gone. Stan the Man holds the All-Star home run record with 5. In 1961, the National League's most glittering trio of stars combined for a 10th inning victory. Hank Aaron singled. Willie Mays doubled. And with runners on second and third, Roberto Clemente drove them both home for a 6-5 thrilling win. Speed outshone power in 1962. A base hit to left. They throw to second to hold Maury Wills, but Wills just races on to third, and he makes it. Daring base running by the Dodger speedster produced 2 runs for a 3-1 National League win. Now watch this one. A short foul to right. Wills tag, streaks home, and steals the show. But when it came to stealing the All-Star show, no one could do it like Willie Mays. With Willie, the National League caught up with its rivals in the 60s and started then to dominate the contest, while the Say Hey Kid set records for hits, stolen bases, and runs scored. No one could match Willie's talent, but other National Leaguers learned to play with his intensity. Like Pete Rose, who in 1970 steamrollered catcher Ray Fosse for an unforgettable 12th inning victory to run his league's All-Star winning streak to 8. That streak was snapped the next year in Detroit in a game that burst in a galaxy of power. Johnny Bench, Hank Aaron, Frank Robinson, Harmon Killebrew, Roberto Clemente, and a momentous clout by Reggie Jackson. Since that victory, American League All-Star fortunes fell. Despite sparkling defensive efforts from stars such as Joe Rudy, Reggie Jackson, and Brooks Robinson, the National League has gone on winning, with home runs generally making the difference. Last year, they hit 2, one by Cincinnati's George Foster, who was the game's MVP. There are many ways to win a ball game, but All-Star games most often seem to be decided the way Babe Ruth decided the first one back in 1933. This year's Midsummer Gathering of the Stars is no exception, as we'll soon see. 1977's Galaxy of Stars twinkled brightly on a summer night this week in Yankee Stadium. Ladies and gentlemen, the National League All-Stars lined up against the American League All-Stars for baseball's 48th All-Star game. The stars of today were joined in the festivities with some stars of yesterday. Willie Mays, honorary captain of the National League squad, still a king in New York, as is the captain of the American League, the Yankee Clipper, Joltin' Joe DiMaggio. Ovations for times past that cannot be forgotten. But the highest tribute of the evening belonged to Mrs. Rachel Robinson, widow of the immortal Jackie Robinson, who 30 years ago courageously broke the color barrier alone, while also providing the fans of Brooklyn and the nation with more baseball excitement than they ever dreamed possible. Mrs. Robinson throws out the first pitch with style and grace. It's a perfect strike. But Jim Palmer, the American League starter, has trouble with his pitches from the beginning. Joe Morgan leading off, tees off, and it's out of here. And the National League blitz is underway. Palmer facing Dave Parker. And Parker lines a hit to left field. George Foster hammers one to left center. Yastrzemski plays the relay to Burleson. And here you see Parker turning third, steaming for home. The throw, and he's safe at the plate. That's 2 across against the Oriole ace. But now here comes Greg Lazinski looking for more. Palmer ready. He delivers, and the bull blasts. It's going, and it's gone. And Jackson has to turn away again. 4 runs in the first inning. The third inning, and the American League still not out of the fire. Palmer pitches. Steve Garvey unloads. It's going to deep left field, and look at that long drive. Garvey's homer gave his team a 5-0 lead. The National League was in the groove, while the American League looked like they were in for a long night. Rod Carew up at bat, He tries to get things going. A drive to deep center. But now watch George Foster play this beautifully. Right to the wall, and he hauls it down for a 417-foot out. Dennis Eckersley pitching now for the American League. 5-0 National League. Joe Morgan slams another one to deep right center, but Fred Lynn gets into the act with a great catch. The American League had to start turning things around sometime, and maybe that helped. Once again, Rod Carew, top vote getter of the All-Stars, tries to get things going. Tom Seaver now on the mound for the National League, delivers, and so does Carew. A base hit. Tom had entered with an ovation from the New York fans, but the cheers turned to the American League when Richie Zisk lined this one with 2 men on. Carew scores, and Fred Lynn follows to make it 5-2 National League. Jumping now to the bottom of the 9th inning. Score 7-3. Rich Gossage ready to deliver to George Scott with a man on. Scott drives it to the opposite field, high and deep, and it is out of sight. That makes it 7-5. And like we said, the All-Star story is generally a power story. Manager Sparky Anderson wants to make sure there won't be any more of that from the American League. And so with 2 out, Thurman Munson comes up to pinch hit, and Rich Gossage puts him away with the game's 18th strikeout. The National League keeps its winning streak alive. Gossage gets the save. Dodger Don Sutton gets the win and the MVP award for pitching 3 scoreless innings. An exciting show for baseball fans everywhere on a summer night when all of the stars came out to play. Going into the All-Star break, Dodger manager Tommy Lasorda has every reason in the world to be mighty happy with his boys of summer. The Dodgers boast the best record in baseball and hold a comfortable 9.5 game lead over Cincinnati in the National League West. Los Angeles figures that their signals this year are pointing towards a World Series in October. And if they keep pounding the ball like this, chances are that nobody will be able to stop them. Actually, Cesar Cedeno and the Houston Astros have been doing their part to derail the Dodgers and also halt the Big Red Machine of Cincinnati. Cedeno has been struggling at the plate this year, but right here you see him drive in 3 runs with a 3-bagger against the Reds. And he shows the enthusiasm of a rookie. Bob Watson also started slowly at the plate, but he's caught fire recently. This blast is good for 3 runs against the Dodgers. The Astros need a return to form of their all-stars Cedeno and Watson, but there are other reasons why the action has really been picking up down in Houston. After working out a spell over the front-running Dodgers, the Astros put their hex on the Reds. Sparky Anderson didn't need that because he's been looking to make up ground. Youngsters like Jose Cruz wouldn't let him. Cruz connects, and the ball is going, and it is gone. Jose is just one of several young Astros now maturing toward stardom. He has power and is one of the league's top base stealers. So is Enos Cabell, who can also run and hit. Here he hits and runs out a double against the Cincinnati Reds. But the man who really hurt the front runners this week is Big James Rodney Richard, now getting it all together on the mound. He's got them coming and going. Richard had a very hot week, beating the Dodgers, and then going on to shut out the Reds twice. How about that? Now, honestly, how often does any pitcher shut out the Big Red Machine twice in a row? Hard to believe, but this week, James Rodney and the Astros had a time making believers out of the two top teams in the National League West. In the National League East, the two top teams met in a hot series in Philadelphia where it was 130 degrees on the playing field. Actually, the Phillies were putting the real heat on the front-running Cubs. Chicago's Greg Gross stepped up in one game with the bases loaded and lined the ball into the empty gap in right field that grossed the Cubs 3 runs and one big victory. Yeah, big man, because the Phillies won the other 3 games. Jay Johnstone slices one, and Greg Gross can't quite cut it. The ball is bind, and Johnstone has a triple. Greg Lazinski at bat. And his smash just gets by everybody. The series left the Phils only 2 games behind the amazing Cubs and still half a season to go. Over on Chicago's south side, the amazing White Sox took on the booming Red Sox this weekend and showed them why they're leading the West. They keep running and just don't look back. The White Sox took 2 out of 3 from Boston to stay 2.5 games beyond the reach of the hard-charging Kansas City Royals. The Royals are threatening, but who would have believed that the White Sox would have the best record in the American League at the All-Star break? The fans just filled the park, and much of that applause belongs to the man who put it all together almost overnight, owner Bill Beck. Around the major leagues this week, we wandered into a few wild odds and ends. Pitcher Gene Pence is hardly in a pensive mood. His last pitch really gave him something to think about. Just watch. That's what you really call an outside pitch. Now here's a wasted effort from the managerial genius of Minnesota's Gene Mauch. He's waving the outfielder in because it's the bottom of the 9th, score tied, runner on 3rd. A fly ball can win the ball game, so Mauch puts in an extra infielder, Mike Cubbage. Listen to him tell you why.
We just try to put the extra infielder in the ball game on the side of the diamond where we think the ball is most apt to be hit. We felt like that probably Torres would hit the ball on the right side of the diamond as he has so much against us, so we put 3 guys on the right side of the diamond, figured we could plug up one of the holes and field have an extra chance of fielding a ground ball.
All right, the strategy is set. Now let's see if it pays off. Uh-oh, look out. Now how's that for throwing the game away? It just goes to show that no matter how carefully you plan something in this game, you can't control what the ball players do on the field. Now catch this one. Dan Dreesen chases a foul ball. Dreesen doesn't catch it, but look, the fence catches Dreesen. He's stuck, and Dreesen says this is ridiculous. But ball players have a way of keeping their cool in such situations. And now he can go back and play some baseball. Nolan Ryan will play baseball. The question is, with which baseball? He doesn't like that one. And he doesn't want that one either. So the umpire doesn't want to wear out his arm, and he says, okay, Nolan, take your choice. Which one has the cherry in it, Nolan? Anyway, he has the one he likes, and Ryan can afford to be choosy because he broke a Sandy Koufax record this week by striking out 10 or more batters in a game for the 98th time in his brilliant career. That's some kind of individual effort. And here are some good team efforts. The first in Texas with Toby Harrah. Down the line at 3rd, great play by Harrah. He gets the man at 1st, and then they get 2 on the play with a throw home. Rod Carew was robbed by a conspiracy of angels. Rance Mullinex nixes it and flips to Jerry Remy for the force at 2nd. And here's a showcase of teamwork by the Cincinnati Reds. Morgan to Concepcion to Dreesen. Togetherness for model double play. The Cubs work together, too. A backhander by Larry Bittner. He stays with it, flips to the pitcher. Congratulations, man. And real congratulations to the recipient of this week's Gillette Special, Cincinnati's George Foster. The nation's heat wave couldn't cool Foster's blazing bat, which has been burning up the National League. He had 3 homers in one game against the Braves this week, has shot into the Major League lead in homers, has an unbelievable 90 RBIs at the All-Star break. Will George successfully challenge Hack Wilson's Major League record of 190 RBIs? Well, who knows? It seems that almost anything can happen in baseball this year.